I just want to say, I have given you guys all of my own resources. I've given you guys my playlists of sermons, Christian music, what is this, New World Order videos, 10 years worth of research. I'm not gonna give you guys the answers. Like, there's hella people who comment my pictures on Instagram and everything saying, oh, you should do a video about this and that. I'm to me. I'm not a call for an uprising. I'm not gonna sit here and make every single video, oh, Illuminati exposed this and da-da-da-da-da this and prophecy this, and no, that's not my channel. If you want that, you're not gonna get it from me. I'm sorry. And I'm not going to literally spoon feed you guys all the information in the world when you literally are on your phone right now or on your computer right now, and you can easily look things up for yourself. And I know a lot of people feel like, oh, to me, like, I get it that maybe I'm more palatable for some people because I'm not cursing in my videos, because there are people who literally, they're cursing all the time, or they're yelling all the time, or they're screaming all the time. I understand that. But personally, like, I can only be myself, and I'm not gonna like make every video about, oh, this and that exposed. Like, I make the videos, like, if I make an exposed video, it's because I feel called to. Other than that, like, I'm not one of those people. But if you guys, I literally have a playlist of over 600 videos, 10 years worth of research since 2009, 2010. It is in the description. You cannot watch the video unless you have the link. Please read the description or the pinned the pinned comment and watch those videos. I have a playlist of sermons and testimonies from people of all different walks of life, exposing anything you can think of. Music videos exposed, Lady Gaga, whoever, whatever, all that kind of stuff, guys. And those are all videos I have watched, every single one of those videos, and I recommend those videos. So please watch that. Please, like, stop asking me to do this, expose that, da. Please stop. Okay, continue. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking on this video if you're new here, and if you like what you hear, please hit subscribe, hit like, share, all that fun stuff. And today I'm going to be coming back with another Bible study. I'm trying to read through the Bible, which is going to be nuts, but I'm trying to read through all the books of the Bible and try to explain in the best way that I can, because I personally think I have the gift of teaching people, because the Bible is a very hefty, historically thick book, and it's a lot to kind of comprehend for a lot of people. So people have told me that I explain it in a way that makes sense, or that I make them think about it in a way that they haven't before. So that's why I'm doing all this. All right, last time I talked about Sodom and Gomorrah. I talked about the historical practices of cultures at that time around them in regarding to the things that Sodom and Gomorrah are known for, and all that to show that, yes, God destroyed those two cities. They were not the only ones going through that or doing all that, but their time of judgment had come. So they had to be judged for their multiple sins. Anyways, now I'm going to Genesis 21, because outside of Sodom and Gomorrah, we're still dealing with the story of Abraham. We already know about him getting called by Yahweh and leaving his home and all of that kind of stuff, and his nephew Lot and all of that. So now we are at the point where Isaac is finally born. So we're in Genesis 21, and I'm reading from the New King James Version. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. And they're making it clear that Sarah was the one who gave birth, because you know that she concocted this whole idea for Abraham to marry Hagar, which was her Egyptian slave or servant, and have a child. So they're making it obvious that Sarah is the one who gave birth to this child. Then Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. And now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. And Sarah said, God has made me laugh, and all who hear will laugh with me. And Isaac's name means laughter, or he has made me laugh, or I laughed, something like that in Hebrew. She also said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children, for I have borne him a son in his old age. So the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom whom she had borne to Abraham, scoffing. Therefore she said to Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be with my son, namely with Isaac. And the matter was very displeasing in Abraham's sight because of his son. But God said to Abraham, don't let it be displeasing in your sight because of the lad or because of your bondwoman. Whatever Sarah has said to you, listen to her voice. For in Isaac your seed shall be called. Yet I shall also make a nation of the son of the bondwoman, because he's your seed. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water, putting it on her shoulder. And he gave the boy to Hagar and sent her away. And she departed and wandered into the wilderness of Beersheba. The water in the skin was used up, and she placed the boy under one of the shrubs. Then she went and sat down across from him at a distance of about a bow shot. For she said to herself, let me not see the death of the boy. So she sat opposite him and lifted her voice and wept. Pause. Okay, I thought about just reading things out and then giving my commentary, but with the Bible, I'm going to interject with other things that I'm reviewing. I guess I'll just, like the Megan's book, I'll just read the chapter, if I even read the chapter, and then give my commentary at the end. But, pause. A lot of people don't like when people read into the text of like, oh, well, what does this have to do with me and my situation? Because we're talking about a historical person. Like, I wouldn't look at Marie Antoinette's life and say, what does this have to do with me? You know what I mean? But a lot of people do that with the Bible. We're talking about an actual woman who actually lived whenever this time period was, named Hagar, who literally was a foreign woman with these Canaanite-ish Mesopotamian people. And literally her and her son are sent off into the wilderness to just make it for themselves, which is bad. But this would have never happened in the first place if Sarah had just trusted God, because she didn't. Because she was like, oh, well, I'm old. How am I supposed to have a kid? I can't. And Hagar can. So let's have a surrogacy here. And the thing is, when God tells you he's going to do something, you have to just listen to him and trust him. He's the one who's going to provide for you. He's the one who's going to make a way out of no way. And so you don't want to create an Ishmael problem, because literally a whole kid was born into a situation that like none of this, none of this calamity would have happened had Sarah just listened to God in the first place. But she tried to force her own hand and say, oh, you know, God doesn't know what he's talking about. She didn't say it like that. But like, if God says to me, I'm going to do this for you, and I'm like, well, I don't know how you're going to do it, so I'm just going to do it my own way. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people know that, oh, God promised me a husband. God promised me a wife. God promised me that I was going to get through school. And you say, God, I don't know how I'm going to make it, so I'm a dropout. I don't know when my husband is going to come, so I'm just going to go to the bar every night and look for a man. All that kind of stuff. And then you create unnecessary problems because you didn't want to listen to God, because you felt like, oh, I know better than him, or your flesh got the best of you, or you didn't really listen to him like that. And you it's not that you didn't listen, you didn't trust him. You didn't trust him. So literally, do not create an Ishmael problem, because literally now this innocent person, this little boy, has to, I think he was 12 at the time, has to suffer because of literally, you know, and now his mom and him have to go through it because of literally Sarah and her not trusting God, right? So they literally threw them out and literally left him out to die. And his mom is like literally weeping, like, yo, I don't want to see my kid die. The water is gone, the food is gone. What are we going to do now? So literally, God heard the voice of the lad. Then the angel of God said to Hagar out of heaven, what ails you, Hagar? This is the second time Hagar the first time she ran away because she was pregnant, and Sarah was abusive to her, was just mad rude. I don't know if she hit her, but she was abusive, then she ran off, and God was like, no, go back. Or the angel came and said, go back. God's got you. And then now Abraham has kicked her out for good, and she's obviously stressed. You would be stressed too, right? So the angel of the Lord said to her out of heaven, what ails you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the skin with water, and gave the lad a drink. And God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Pause. So, I'm not going to go super into this, but a lot of people wonder who are the Ishmaelites today, who are the descendants of Ishmael, because also I believe that it says that 12 princes would have came from him, and the Arabs today basically believe that they are the descendants of the Ishmaelites. Historically, some people are like, well, there's no actual historical evidence of that, but because Islam claims to be an Abrahamic religion, like they believe that they are the descendants of Ishmael. Some people have said that historically the Nabateans, which were a group of people that were around Petra back in the day of Muhammad and even beforehand, that they were the descendants of Ishmael. So you could just look it up for yourself because all this stuff is on Google. Like, look it up for yourself. Just Google who are the Ishmaelites today and like just do the research for yourself. Genesis 21 verse 22. A covenant with Abimelech. And it came to pass at the time that Abimelech and I can't pronounce that name, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, God is with you in all that you do. And now therefore swear to me by God that you will not deal falsely with me or my offspring. So they made a covenant with each other. And Abraham rebuked Abimelech because of a well of water that his servants, because all of these people in the Bible lived in the desert, right? So they had wells. So it would be like, this is Jacob's well that my dad built it. This is ours. That's yours over there. So me and my farmers and everybody will use my well. You could use your well. So They had beef with each other, and then they made a covenant with each other. And they made an oath together. And Abraham stayed in, I'm just paraphrasing all of this. So Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for many days. And if you know about the Philistines, you know that Goliath was a Philistine, and Delilah was also a Philistine. Anyways, chapter 22. And now it came to pass after all these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he, God, said, Now take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I shall tell you. Pause. This is one of the most famous Bible stories of all time. Also, sacrifice of children was happening in those days anyways. Pagan cultures, or I guess, non-Israelite cultures were doing this at the time. So everyone, oh my God, I can't believe it. Da-da-da. People were doing it. Planned Parenthood is doing it today. Let us continue. All right. So it's not that crazy. Offer him as a burnt sacrifice. So Abraham arose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son. And he split the wood for the burnt offering and rose and went to the place of which God had told him. And Mount Moriah is actually a mountain in like modern day Israel, I believe at this point, map wise. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go yonder and worship, and we will come back to you. So Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and the 2 of them went together. But Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Look, the fire and the wood, but where's the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering. So the 2 of them went together. And they came to the place of which God had told him, and Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood on the altar in order, and he bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Don't lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him, because now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Sorry, guys, I'm getting emotional because I'm thinking about Jesus. And in the Bible series, they did a really good analogy where when Abraham was literally about to slay his son, you hear God say stop, and then he looks up and you see like this lamb, and then you see God on the mountain, like literally God in the flesh, like on the mountain, like in a robe or something, like walking away from the whole incident. And it just hit me when I saw it that way. It was like foreshadowing. And I never read this as God literally foreshadowing what he was going to do with us because he loves us so much. And that just it hit me that way. And I was like, damn, yo, this God really loves us. Anyways, Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in the thicket by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of the place, the Lord will provide, as it said to this day, which is Jehovah Jireh, as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, by myself I've sworn, says the Lord, because you've done this thing, that I will not and have not withheld your son, that your only son. Blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven and the sand which is on the seashore. And your descendants shall possess the gate of their enemies, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you've obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And then in verse 20, it basically just goes to like the descendants of Abraham's like extended family, like his cousins and all that kind of stuff. So Genesis 23 is about Sarah's death. So Sarah lived 127 years, and these were the years of the life of Sarah. So Sarah died in Hebron, which is also called Kirjath Arba, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and weep for her. And Abraham stood up before his dead and from before his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I'm a foreigner and a visitor among you. Give me property for a burial place among you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my lord, you are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places. None of us will withhold from you his burial place, that you may bury your dead. Then Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, the sons of Heth. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your wish that I bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and meet with Ephron, the son of Zohar, for me, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me at the full price as property for the burial place among you. Now Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham. Okay, pause. I'm just going to say, a lot of times you hear that, oh, he's the Canaanite, he's this, he's that. It's like me saying Tumi, the Texan, or Bob, the New Yorker, or whatever. Like, these are all actual historical places. And for a lot of times, like in the 20th century, they really started doing like biblical archaeology and found out that all of these places in the Bible were actually places, because people to this day are stupid and still say, oh, the Bible is made up. No, it's not. It's actually the most accurate ancient historical text in regards to geography, because it's describing all of these ethnic groups and people groups and customs that actually were happening at the time. Look it up for yourselves. Just look up biblical archaeology and you'll find a whole bunch of stuff. Anyways, Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the presence of the sons of Heth, all who entered at the gate of his city, saying, No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field and the cave that's in it. I give it to you in the presence of my people. I give it to you. Bury your dead. And then Abraham bowed himself before the people of the land, and he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If you will give it, please hear me. I will give you money for the field, and take it from me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying, My lord, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver, and what is between you and me? Bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he named in the hearing of the sons of Heth 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. So the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went in at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife that's in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. So the field and the cave that's in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as a property for a burial place. And I've actually never really sat there and read all of that. So I thought that it's really cool how Abraham respected people. He didn't just run in there and say, oh guys, I'm Abraham, y'all gotta bow to me. Nah, he had, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. You know, he was very cordial. Not cordial, like polite. Yeah, that's it. Anyways, now Abraham was old, and this is chapter 24. And Abraham was old and well advanced in age, and God had blessed him with all things. And Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had, Please put your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of earth, that you shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell, but you'll go to my country and my family and take a wife for my son Isaac. Pause. God is not racist. The only problem is that at that time, everybody worshipped different gods. So if you married a Canaanite, they were worshiping a Moloch who was you sacrificed babies to Moloch. So literally, he didn't want a woman who was a Canaanite because you're going to bring that demon worship into the marriage and all that kind of stuff. So he said, go to my own people who worship the same God as me. And yeah, anyways. So putting the hand under the thigh, I guess, was like an old way of like making an oath. I don't understand it, but that's what they did at that time. And the servant said to him, perhaps the woman won't be willing to follow me back to this land. Must I take your son back to the land from which you came? But Abraham said to him, beware that you don't take my son back there. The Lord God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my family, who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, to your descendants I will give this land. He will send his angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. And if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you'll be released from this oath. Only don't take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master and swore to him concerning this matter. And the servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed, for all his master's goods were in his hand. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. And he made his camels kneel down outside of the city by a well of water at evening time, the time when women go out to draw water. And he said, O Lord God of my master Abraham, please give me success today, and show kindness to my master Abraham. Behold, here I stand by this well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Now please let it be that the young woman to whom I say, please let down your pitcher that I may drink. And she says, drink, and I will also give your camels a drink. Let her be the one that you have appointed for your son Isaac. And by this I will know that you've shown kindness to my master. And it happened before he finished speaking that, behold, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with a pitcher on her shoulder. Now the young woman was very beautiful to behold, a virgin. No man had known her. And she went down to the well, filled her pitcher up, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, please let me drink a little water from your pitcher. So she said, drink, my lord. And she quickly let her pitcher down to her hand and gave him a drink. And when she finished giving him a drink, she said, I'll draw water for your camels also, till they finish drinking. And so she quickly emptied her pitcher into the trough, ran back to the well to draw water, and drew for all his camels. And the man, wondering at her, remained silent so as to know whether the Lord had made his journey prosperous or not. So it was, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring weighing 1/2 shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrists weighing 10 shekels of gold, said, whose daughter are you? Tell me, please, and there is room in your father's house. Is there room in your father's house for us to lodge? So she said, I'm the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nahor. Moreover, she said to him, we both have straw and feed enough and room to lodge. And the man bowed down his head and worshipped the Lord. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of my master Abraham, who hasn't forsaken his mercy and his truth toward my master. As for me, being on the way, the Lord led me to the house of my master's brethren. So the young woman ran and told her mother's household these things. Now Rebekah had a brother whose name was Laban, and Laban ran out to the man by the well. So when it came to pass that when he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists, when he heard the words of his sister Rebekah, saying, thus the man spoke to me, that he went to the man. Pause. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me finish reading. All right. And he stood by the camels at the well, and he said, come in, O blessed of the Lord. Why do you stand outside? For I have prepared the house and a place for the camels. Pause. If you guys have been following me for a while, you know that my nose is pierced actually, and I had a septum ring for a long time, and people literally gave me so much hell for it. Literally gave me so much hell. People used to send me emails saying that I was possessed by the devil. I had to turn off the comments on one of my videos because people wouldn't stop commenting about how I was possessed by demons because I had a ring in my nose. But as you can literally see here, this guy took out a nose ring made of pure gold, weighing 1/2 shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrist weighing 10 shekels of gold, and put the nose ring in her nose as a gift. And it's just like, nose rings have always been for women and like symbols of marriage, engagement presents, just fashion. And because we live in America that's been heavily influenced by white European culture, that's not white European culture. Nose rings are not white European culture, like Catholic Anglo-Saxon culture. So you guys are seeing stuff now that y'all are like, oh, what, this isn't just because something is not your style doesn't necessarily mean that it's evil or like demonic. And a lot of people just feel like, oh, like having a nose ring is demonic. And it's like, no, like this guy is literally like worshiping God, and he gave this woman a nose ring as a gift. Like, but you guys don't know the history. So it's just, I'm not saying that every woman, like in India, they wear nose rings on wedding days. Like Indian women, Hindu women, when they have weddings, like it's very common for brides to wear nose rings, and they have their own reasons as to why they do that. But it's just like, somebody having a nose ring doesn't mean that they're possessed by the devil. Like having a tattoo doesn't mean you're possessed by the devil. And it's like, that's not a bad thing. It's just when you become vain and everything becomes about your outward appearance, that's when it becomes a problem, because you're being too prideful. But like, you guys, a lot of people just gotta stop with the straight up ignorance. Just because you would never, like I knew a woman who literally said that, oh, if you dye your hair, that's a sin because your hair wasn't that color naturally. And it's just like, if you're blonde and you want to be a brunette, you're a brunette and you want to be blonde. Like, how is that sinful? Like, it's just hair dye. Like, it's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that was really annoying. And I just took mine out because I felt like it got too big for my face. And then also people who I don't know, who don't even show themselves on the internet, were just like, oh, you look better without it. You don't need that. And it's like, I don't feel like I need something. It's literally like wearing an earring or a pair of shoes. You change it. You can change it. You wear different shoes depending on how you want. You can wear different types of nose rings if you want. It's literally just an accessory. But people take it upon themselves to make your business their business and literally go out of their way just to be ridiculous. And it's like, what is the, like, do you guys feel better? Like, not all of you, obviously, but to the people who, like, if you were in person and you literally saw somebody who was like, I don't even know, wearing something that for whatever reason you didn't like it, would you walk up to them and be like, hey, I really hate that? No. You would mind your own business. Or you'd say, oh, hey, that's a weird hairstyle. Oh, hey, you're bald, but you know you'd look so much better with hair, right? Like, that's none of your business. And it's just like, too many people, like, there are so many videos that I've seen, like I've said before, that like, I don't agree with there's certain people I don't agree with on this or that, or I wouldn't wear this or that, but that doesn't take away from the message of the video. If you see somebody with a nose ring and like they're preaching the gospel to you, why are you so distracted by what is on their face, or like their skin color or whatever, or their hair color, that it's like you can't even hear the message? That's not my problem. That's your problem. Like, that's like me saying like, oh, I wouldn't take somebody seriously because of them being fat. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, that doesn't take away from the overall message, you know? But anyways, I just said all that to say that. But I took it out because I felt like it was a little too big for my face. Like, I wanted a smaller one because I've seen people wear smaller ones that I think just look cuter. But anyways, I went on that whole little tangent. So Rebecca got this nose ring and went home and everybody in her house was like, oh my God, what happened? Because like, what? And so, yes. Then the servant came to the house and he unloaded the camels and then provided straw for the camels, and they gave him water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him, and food was set before him to eat. But he said, I won't eat until I've told you guys about my errand. And they said, speak on. And he said, I'm Abraham's servant. The Lord has blessed my master greatly and saw that he has become great, and he has given him flocks and herds and silver and gold and male and female servants and camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and to him was given all that he has. Now my master made me swear, saying, you shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I dwell, but you shall go to my father's house and to my family and take a wife for my son. And I said to my master, perhaps the woman won't follow me. But he said to me, the Lord before whom I walk will send his angel with you and prosper your way. And you'll take a wife for my son from my family and my father's house. And you'll be clear of this oath when you arrive from among my family, for if they won't give you to her, then you'll be released from my oath. And on this day I came to the well and said, O Lord, God of my master Abraham, if you will now prosper me in the way I go, behold, I stand by the well of water. And so basically he's basically saying that I prayed, and before I was done speaking, Rebecca came, and you know, if you want, I could take her as a wife for Isaac, and if not, then I'll just go back home, is what he said. And he said, yeah, I am the one who put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists. Because, men historically paid dowry to the wife's family. And so it would be in jewelry and cows and all that kind of fun stuff. So, yes, future fiance, please buy me an expensive nose ring. Along with the engagement ring. I'm dead. Okay, anyways, Laban and Bethuel answered and said, this thing comes from the Lord. We can't speak good or bad to you. And here's Rebekah. And take her and go. And be your master's wife. Let her be your master's son's wife as the Lord has spoken. And then it came to pass when Abraham's servant heard the words that he worshipped the Lord, bowing himself to the earth. And the servant brought out jewelry of silver, jewelry of gold, and clothing, and gave them to Rebekah. And he also gave precious things to her brother and to her mother. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and stayed all night, and then rose in the morning. And he said, send me away to my master. But her brother and her mother said, let the woman stay with us a few days, at least 10, and then after that she may go. And he said, don't hinder me, since the Lord has prospered me in my way. Send me away so that I may go to my master. So they said, we'll call the young woman and ask her personally. Then they called Rebekah and said, will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. And they sent Rebekah away, their sister and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebekah and said to her, our sister, may you become the mother of thousands of 10,000s. May your descendants possess the gates of those who hate them. Then Rebekah and her maids arose, and they rode on camels and followed the man. So the servant took Rebekah and departed. Pause. Okay, so first of all, the Bible is talking about consent here. And I know now that word and that term has become very loaded, but they're literally talking about consent. They asked the woman, do you want to go with this man? She said yes. So they're like, okay, it's up to you. The family already agreed to the marriage anyways, but if she said, I don't want to go, they couldn't force her to go. They would have just returned the gifts, right? And he would have been freed from his oath. But as they sent her away, they pronounced a blessing over her. And I'm going to talk about generational curses and blessings in another video. But here is an example of a blessing, a generational blessing that they spoke over her before she left. And the words that your parents have spoken over you, a lot of them have shaped your life and your reality unbeknownst to you, because I talked about in my other Genesis video about Lot and how he spoke a curse basically over his daughters and opened them up to all sorts of perversion spiritually when he offered them up to the men who were trying to attack him and the angels in the house. So they said, our sister, may you become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and may your descendants possess the gates of those who hate them. So may you prosper in your life, your role as a wife and a mother, and all of that great stuff. And we're still reading about her today, so yes. Now Isaac came from the way of Beer Lahai Roi, for he dwelt in the south. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field in the evening, and he lifted his eyes and looked, and there the camels were coming. Then Rebekah lifted her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from her camel, for she had said to the servant, who is this man walking in the field to meet us? And the servant says, this is my master. So she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done, and then Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and he took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So in chapter 25, Abraham again took a wife, and her name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. I've actually never even read this part of the Bible. Okay, you guys are teaching me stuff. Jokan begot Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, Letushim, and Lemumim. And the sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Hanoch, Abidah, and Eldah. And all of these were the children of Keturah. Okay, so Abraham was a busy man. And Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac, but Abraham gave gifts to the sons of the concubines, which he had. While he was still living in the tent, he sent them eastward, away from Isaac his son, to the country of the east. And then this is the sum of Abraham's life, which he lived 175 years. And then Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man full of years. And he was gathered to his people. And the sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. And there Abraham was buried with Sarah. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt at Beer Lahai Roi. So this is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Isaac the Egyptian, Sarah's maidservant, bore to Abraham. And the reason why the Bible loves to go on and on about genealogy is because it's a historical text, okay? Listen, these were the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, then Kedar, then Abdil, then Mibsam, Misha, Duma, Massa, Hadar, Tema, Jetur, Napshish, and Kedema. And these were the sons of Ishmael, and these were their names by their towns and their settlements, 12 princes according to their nations. And these were the years of Ishmael, 137 years. And he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. They dwelt from Havilah as far as Shur, which is east of Egypt, as you go toward Assyria, and he died in the presence of his brethren. So he had 12 sons. And this is the genealogy of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah as his wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. Now Isaac pleaded with the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord granted his plea, and Rebekah his wife conceived. But the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If all is well, why am I like this?" So she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said to her, prophesying, "Two nations are in your womb. Two peoples shall be separated from your body. One people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger." So when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over, so they called his name Esau. Afterward his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, so his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. So the boys grew, and Esau was a skillful hunter and a man of the field, but Jacob was a mild man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Okay, pause. So the Bible never really goes into detail about what babies look like at birth, unless there's something different about them or wrong with them, basically. And Esau is like the first person who's born, who the Bible says when he came out of the womb, he looked like this. He was hairy. He was a hairy baby. I don't know. I'm not going to look up hairy babies to see if they're hairy babies, but he was like a hairy garment all over, so they called his name Esau. You can Google what his name means in English. And it says that two nations are in the womb. God said that. So literally, there are people groups alive today that are descendants of Jacob and Esau, who are the Edomites, who are the descendants of Esau. So you can look up who the Edomites are for yourself. I'm not going to go into that right now. And also, you may note that people in the Bible are significantly older when they give birth or die than people nowadays. And I don't know why, but in ancient times, according to the Bible, people lived longer, much longer. And also the Bible says that because of sin, the days of man are shortened. That's why people are dying at like 80 years old now instead of 175. So, yes, okay, Esau sells his birthright. Now Jacob cooked the stew, and Esau came in from the field because he was weary. And Esau said to Jacob, "Please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary." Okay, also, people say that Esau could have been albino, but this red stew, some people say that he ate his meat like rare. So yes, yeah, instead of actually like cooking it, and "please feed me the same red stew," some people will kind of suggest that. Guys, you have to read into the text and actually do research. Anyways, therefore his name was called Edom, which means red. So the baby was born and he was red. Think about what that means, guys. Think about skin and pigmentation. Think about that. Think about that. And think about what people in the so-called Middle East, which is actually Africa, looked like before the Arabs invaded the land. Because the Arabs have not been in the Middle East for literally, if you do historical research, after the time of Muhammad, 600 years after the New Testament, that's when all the Arabs started invading all these places and people started to look Arab. But before that, everybody was black. That's just a historical fact. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that right now. So there was something, Esau looked different than everybody else. He was red and everybody else was not red. Let me just say that. He was very, very hairy and everybody else was not. To the point where he got the name Red or Hairy, right? His name was called Edom, which means red. Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright." So Jacob literally was crazy, but Jacob was deceitful. He was very deceitful. And so he said, "Sell me your birthright as of this day." And Esau said, "Look, I'm about to die. So what is this birthright to me?" First of all, he was being melodramatic because he was not about to die. He was just hungry, as we've all experienced. Then Jacob said, "Swear to me as of this day." So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob, and Esau gave him bread and stew of lentils, and he ate, drank, arose, and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. You can literally basically give somebody else your destiny, is what the Bible is trying to say in that whole situation. So in 26, I'm just going to paraphrase this part because it's very similar to what Abraham also went through, where basically there was a famine, they had to leave, and basically he said, they had to travel through this land, and he lied. Rebecca was really beautiful, and he lied to the king, Abimelech, and was like, "Yo, this is my sister," and it was obvious that he was lying because they were kissing, and you don't kiss your sister, so it was just one of those really weird things, and he was really pissed off. And his dad did the same thing with Sarah, like twice or 3 times or something crazy like that. But so Jacob literally had a dream, and God came to him and said, I'm in verse 24, he appeared to him on the same night and said, "I'm the God of your father Abraham. Don't be afraid, because I'm with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for my servant Abraham's sake." So he built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord and pitched his tent there, and Isaac's servants dug a well. So, listen, guys, God makes a covenant, and generational covenants are a thing. Whether your ancestors have made covenants with God or demons, but these spiritual beings will show up in every generation and literally, basically remind you of this covenant. So generational curses are real. If you want to know more about them, the person who taught me about the reality of these things is a man on YouTube named Kevin L.A. Ewing, spelled E-W-I-N-G. Go on YouTube. You're already on it right now because you're watching this video. Look up Kevin L.A.E.W.I.N.G. and watch his videos about generational curses. He breaks this stuff down 100 times better than I could. I couldn't make a separate video about it, but he's already done all the work, and he does extensive research, and I love his videos, and my life has improved a lot because of his work and dedication to God. So, at the end of this 26 verse 34, Esau was 40 years old. He took as his wives Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Basmath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and they were a grief to the mind of Isaac and Rebekah. So he was not supposed to take Hittite women, but he did. So Genesis 27, Isaac blesses Jacob. Now it came to pass that when Isaac was old, because Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So it came to pass when Isaac was old and his eyes were so dim that he couldn't see, he called Esau his older son and said to him, "My son." And he answered him, saying, "Here I am." And he said, "Behold, now I'm old. I don't know the day of my death. Now, therefore, please take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt the game for me, and make that delicious food that I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, and that my soul may bless you before I die." Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt game and to bring it. So Rebekah spoke to Jacob her son, saying, "Indeed, I heard your father speak to Esau your brother, saying, Bring me game and make savory food for me, that I may eat it and bless you in the presence of my Lord before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to what I've commanded you. Go to the flock and bring me 2 choice kids of the goats, and I will make savory food for them for your father, such as he loves, and I'll take it to your father that he may eat it. and bless you before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, look, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I'm smooth-skinned. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I'll be like a deceiver to him, and I'll bring a curse on myself and not a blessing. So his mother said to him, let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my voice and go and get them for me. And he went and got them, and the mom made the soup, basically. And what they did was they killed the goat and put the skins of the goat onto Jacob, so that when Isaac would feel him, he would feel his hairy arms instead of him being smooth. You guys can do the math there and figure out what Esau looked like based on that description alone. Okay, so so he went to him and he said, my father. And he said, here I am. Who are you, my son? And Jacob said, I'm Esau, your firstborn. I've done as you told me. And he said, how is it that you found it so quickly? And he said, the Lord brought it to me. Lying again, just like people in his family, just like everybody, we all lie, right? Even if we don't necessarily want to, people still lie anyways. Isaac said to Jacob, please come near that I may feel you, my son, whether or not you're Esau or not. So Jacob went near, and he said, the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are those of Esau. And he didn't recognize him because his hands were hairy like his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him, and he said, are you really my son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, bring it to me so that I may eat. And he ate and he drank, and he brought wine and he drank. And then his father Isaac said, come now and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his clothing and blessed him and said, surely the smell of my son is like the smell of a field which the Lord God has blessed. Therefore may God give you the dew of heaven, of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you and nations bow down to you. Be master over your brethren, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be those who bless you. Now what happened, as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had scarcely gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from hunting. And he had also made savory food and brought it to his father, and said to his father, let my father arise and eat of his son's game, that your soul may bless me. And his father Isaac said to him, who are you? And he said, I'm your son, your firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled exceedingly and said, who? Where is the one who hunted game and brought it to me? I ate all of it before you came, and I've blessed him, and indeed he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, bless me also, O my father. And he said, your brother came with deceit, and has taken away your blessing. Pause. Technically, Esau sold his birthright of being the firstborn son to him. So when Esau said, here, you can have my birthright for the stupid bowl of soup, he literally sold his destiny, because the firstborn got a greater blessing than everyone else. For the most part, even in traditional families today, the firstborn child is like the best thing to happen to the family. So he sold his birthright, and he sold his entire destiny. So then it basically opened up the spirit of deceit for Jacob to literally trick him. So he technically brought it upon himself. But what Jacob did was wrong, and Rebekah was wrong. Anyways, and Esau said, is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times, and he took away my birthright. Now look, he's taken away my blessing. And he said, have you not reserved a blessing for me? Then Isaac answered and said to Esau, indeed, I've made him your master, and all his brethren I have given to him as servants. With grain and wine I've sustained him. What shall I do now for you, my son? And Esau said to his father, have you only won a blessing, my father? Bless me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said, behold, your dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass, when you become restless, that you will break his yoke from your neck. So Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing which his father blessed him with. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, for I shall kill my brother Jacob. And at the words of Esau, her older son were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said, surely your brother Esau comforts himself concerning you by intending to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, arise, and flee to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a few days until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forgets what you've done to him. Then I'll send and bring you both from here. Why should I be bereaved because of both of you in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. if Jacob takes a wife from the daughters of Heth, like these who are the daughters of the land, what good will my life be to me? Then Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him, saying, You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take for yourself a wife there from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you, and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may be an assembly of peoples, that you may give the blessing of Abraham to you and your descendants with you, that you may inherit the land in which you are a stranger, which God gave to Abraham. So Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban, the son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take for himself a wife there, and he blessed him and gave him a charge, saying, Don't take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. And Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother that had gone to Padan Aram. Also Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan didn't please his father Isaac. So Esau went to Ishmael and took Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, and the sister of Nebajoth, to be his wife in addition to the wives that he had. So I'm going to just paraphrase. Jacob left from Beersheba and went towards Haran, and then he went to sleep, and that's when he saw Jacob's ladder, basically, where he had a dream and there was a ladder, and angels were ascending and descending from the ladder. And God stood above and said, I'm the Lord God of Abraham, your father, the God of Isaac, the land of which you lie, I will give to you and your descendants, and your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the east and west and to the north and south, and in you and in your seed all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Behold, I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land, for I won't leave you until I've done what I've spoken. And Jacob woke up from his sleep and said, The Lord is in this place, and I didn't know it. And he was afraid and said, How awesome is this place! There is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. So Jacob arose early in the morning and took a stone that he had put his head on as a pillow, and set up a pillar and poured oil on top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel. But the name of the city had been Luz previously. And Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me, and keep me in this way that I'm going, and give me bread to eat and clothing to put on, so that I may come back to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God. And this stone which I've set up as a pillar shall be God's house, and that all of you give me, I will surely give a tenth to you. So, 29. Genesis chapter 29. So Jacob went on his journey and came to the land of the people of the east, and he looked and he saw a well in the field, and behold, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a large stone was on the well's mouth. Now all the flocks would be gathered there, and they would roll the stone on the well's mouth, water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place. And Jacob said to them, My brethren, where are you from? And they said, We're from Haran. And he said, Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. So he said to them, Is he well? And they said, He's well. Look, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. And he said, Look, it's still high day. It's not time for the cattle to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go feed them. But they said, We can't until all the flocks are gathered together, and they've rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep. So while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother. Okay, it's his cousin, all right? So when Jacob saw Rachel, his cousin, and the sheep of Laban, his uncle, that Jacob went near and rolled a stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother, his uncle. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was his father's relative, and that he was Rebekah's son. So she ran and told her father. Then it came to pass, when Laban heard the report about his nephew, he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all of the things that he basically went through. And he said, Surely you're bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. And he stayed with him for a month. Then Laban said to Jacob, Because you're my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? And he said, Tell me, what should your wages be? Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were delicate, but Rachel was beautiful of form and appearance. So Leah was unattractive, basically. Or she was a plain Jane, I guess. But she had nice eyes, but she was just like, eh. According to them. I wasn't there. Now Jacob loved Rachel, and he said, I'll serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said, it's better that I give her to you than I should give her to another man. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed only a few days because of the love that he had for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. Now it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his older daughter, the one that was ugly, and brought her to Jacob, and he went into her. And Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a maid. So it came to pass in the morning that, behold, it was Leah. And he said, what is this that you've done? What happened was he got him drunk. I don't know why it doesn't say this here, but he literally got him drunk at the feast. And what happened was, at that time, women obviously wore veils when they get married like they do now, but it was a very, very heavy veil that you could also look up, but I'll insert a picture of the types of veils that women wore and they still wear today in those sort of cultures. And so he didn't recognize her, and you wouldn't recognize your wife either if she had a veil and you were a super duper drunk. So they frick-fracked in the morning. He woke up and they had already consummated their marriage, so they couldn't get a divorce. All right, so he was shook and he was like, oh my gosh, what is this that you've done to me? Because didn't I serve you for Rachel? Why did you deceive me? And he said, well, in our culture, you know, it's not good to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we'll also give you this one for the service, which you'll serve me another 7 years. So Jacob did so, and then he gave him Rachel as his wife also. And so Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter. And Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a maid. And Jacob went into Rachel, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served Laban still another 7 years. When the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. So Leah conceived and bore a son, and called his name Reuben, for she said, the Lord has surely looked at my affliction. Therefore my husband will love me. Then she conceived again and bore a son, and said, because the Lord has heard that I am unloved, he has therefore given me the son also. Then she called his name Simeon. Then she conceived again and bore a son, saying, now this time my husband will become attached to me, because I've borne him 3 sons. Therefore his name was called Levi. Then she conceived again and bore a son, saying, and now I will praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah. Then she stopped having children. All right, guys, so the lesson here, Jacob was a deceiver. He deceived his brother, even though his brother was a very, not smart man and was like, yeah, go ahead and have my birthright for a bowl of soup. Then he got angry and wanted to hurt him and literally hated him. Then he got deceived. So basically what you reap what you sow. So that's what happened here. He literally reaped what he sowed and got deceived. So now he has 2 wives. His poor wife, Leah, is stuck in an unloving marriage because she's not that attractive, and according to them, and she keeps having children with him. And I can only imagine being a woman and feeling like, okay, now he's going to love me because I've had a child. Now he's going to love me again. I've given him another son. Now I've given him another child. Now I've given him a 4th one. And he still doesn't love you. He's just doing it with you so that he could have kids to help around the farm, and because he kind of sort of has to, and because his other wife isn't having children. So I'm going to end here because yes, I've been going for quite a while, so I'm going to end here. And thank you guys so much for listening to this, and I will see you in the next video. And I hope that you enjoyed this Bible study, and that you look in the description and look at all of the links that I have for you guys with my playlists, so that you guys aren't in my DMs asking me for stuff when I literally have been providing you guys in the description for the longest time. Thank you. See you in the next video. God bless you and all your families. Bye-bye.